Okay, now we're going to learn how to draw a character for animation in Flash. We're specifically going to prepare a character for a walk cycle. For this, you're going to need the file on Blackboard that goes with handout number 9. It's called LuckyDog.jpg. So you'll need to download that. And once you've downloaded it in Flash, you'll go up to the top of the screen, File, Import, Import to Stage. Okay, and then you'll just need to navigate to where you downloaded it. It should be in your downloads folder, or maybe you might have dragged it to the desktop. In my case, I've got it in here. And there I've placed it. And obviously he's too big for the stage, so I will get the free transform tool, this tool right here with all the dots and the arrow there. I'll hold down the shift key as I drag from the corner, and I'll resize him to fit the stage like that. Okay, he's going to be my guide, and I'm going to draw on top of him, so I need to have layers above him. I can just call this layer Lucky JPEG, and then I'll make a new layer above this, clicking down here. I'll lock the JPEG layer. That way I won't constantly be accidentally selecting it. Okay, so now I'm going to work on this layer, layer 2. I might just call this Lucky. So I know one is going to be the vector version, the drawn version, and the other is going to be the JPEG, the scan. Okay, I'm going to zoom in with my magnifying tool here. And drawing in Flash, there are a million ways to do it, but we're going to do a method where we use the line tool. So I'm actually going to get the line tool here, and I want to get out of object mode. So I've got my line tool. I want the properties window showing, and I could make him some kind of dark color. I could make him I'll make him a dark blue. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with the line tool, just go to the tip of this ear. I'm going to press and drag to the top of the ear. Now that is too big. The stroke is too big, so I'm going to undo that. I've got the line tool, and here in the properties window there is the stroke. I'm going to go to the default setting of 0.1. Alright, then I'll do this here to here. And it's a little on the skinny side. Let me give it a stroke of 1. Okay, so now I will try this again. That's about right. Okay, so I've drawn a straight line. Then I need to get off the line tool and go back to the selection tool, the black arrow. And I'm going to, again with it not selected, go up to it till I see that curve, which means I can distort it. So I'm going to press and drag and curve it to match the curve of the drawing. Alright, now I'm going to do the bottom of the ear with the line tool, but I'm not going to start on that point, because if I do, the lines are going to interact, they'll segment, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to actually start separate from that other point and draw a line. Oops, I was too close, it did it automatically. Line from here to here to represent the under part of the ear. And now I will press and drag, and now that that's already been done, I'll join it. And that little circle there tells me that it's joined. Okay, now when we animate this, Lucky is going to be moving up and down as he walks. His head's going to bob up and down, and the top part of his ears are going to flap in the opposite direction. When his head bounces up, his ears are going to flap down. When his head goes down, the ears are going to flap up. So I actually want to make a symbol out of the top part of the ear. So I'm going to select this stroke, and then hold down the shift key and select the other stroke. And I'm going to save this as a symbol. I'll do modify, convert to symbol, and I'm going to call this symbol top ear. I'm not going to call it left ear. The reason being that if someone else were to work with this file, they might misinterpret left ear as being Lucky's left ear from his perspective, and so I want to be clear. The top ear is the one closest to us, and then I'm going to call that one the back ear. So there we go. It is a movie clip. I click, and there we go. Okay. All right. Now we have that symbol, and I'm going to repeat that process for the other ear. So I'll get the line tool, I'll press and I'll drag, I'll distort it. Once again, line tool, I'll be a little bit separate there, do that, distort it, and then join the points like that. Then I'll select each segment, hold down the shift key, get both of them, modify, convert to symbol, I'll call it back ear. Okay, so I've got two symbols there. Okay, now I'm going to do the head, and I'm going to get the ellipse tool, and again I'm going to make sure that object drawing is off, and I'm going to make an ellipse that I can't make one that perfectly fits his head, so I'm going to just get roughly in the area, and I don't want to fill, so let me undo that. I'm going to click on the fill and do none. Okay, so here I go, and now I've got that. So I have an ellipse that kind of covers the head, but see, now I can alter it with the arrow tool. I'll press and I'll drag that up here, kind of drag that there, maybe this up there, and then try to drag this in, and I can't completely shape it, but I can get pretty close. In fact, yeah, I pretty much got it. There we go. Okay, so I pushed that ellipse to kind of match the head. All right, so I'm going to get another ellipse, and this time I think I'm going to turn object drawing on because I want the freedom to reshape this ellipse without segmenting with the other ellipse. So I'm going to turn object drawing on. I'll make an ellipse for the nose area. And you can see how this is an object because of that border. I'll deselect it, and then I'll shape this to try to match the contour of the nose. Now I won't be able to perfectly do it. I'm going to have to address, there's an S curve there that I'm not going to be able to completely get this time around. I'm going to have to fix it. There's an S curve here. There's kind of a curve there, and I'm going to have to do those another way. But I've got the basic nose there. All right, now I've got it the way I want. So I do want these to segment. I want them to interact so I can delete these inside lines. So I'll select this shape. I'll break it apart with Command B. And the other one's already broken apart. So now I can, since they're interacting, since they're segmenting, I can select that and delete it. I can select this line and delete it. And now I have to address these problems. So let me zoom in here. And there's a concept called bridging, where you can, if I need a curve there, bridging would be where I would make a new line that's not in object mode. So let me turn that off. I'll make a line from here to there, and then I will distort it and drag it in, and it bridges this gap here. And since it's also interacting there, it's segmenting this, so I can actually throw this part away. Okay, now I'm going to do the same up here. I'm going to do a line from here to here. and then I will push in and segment that. Okay, now I can delete this part and this part, and there we go. I can alter things. For instance, this area I don't particularly like that sharp point, and then so with the white arrow I can click on a path, and this is like working in Illustrator because I get to edit these paths. So I can click on that particular point, and with the handles, just like I would in Illustrator, alter the curve. And you may remember, I can use the various pen tools. I could delete a point if I needed to, or I could convert a point to a curve point. In fact, that one I think I will convert. So I'll get the pen tool, I'll do convert anchor point tool, and I'll press and I'll drag, and I'll make that. It didn't go as planned. There might be, I think there's 2 points there. So I could even delete an anchor point until I've only got one. Okay. And then that needs to be converted, so I'll convert it to a curve point. Okay. Like so. And there we go. So you can work on your characters quite a bit to get them just exactly the way you want them. Okay, so there is his head, and it pretty much looks like the drawing. Okay, now we're going to do the what we call the ear stalks, the part of the ear that goes up from the head. These are going to animate with the head. They're not going to flap. They're going to stay straight. So I'm going to use the line tool, and I'm going to start, and I do have object drawing off. I'm going to start inside the head and go, actually I missed. I'm going to try that again. I'm going to start inside the head and go up like that. Oops, I missed again. There's sort of a magnetic pull that's pulling my start point right there. I'm going to start inside the head and go up like this, and then one more time like that. I'll do the same over here. And here. And here. Okay. Now, now bend these, and even when something is pretty straight, you do want to give it a little bit of a bend because that just makes it more organic. Like that's a fairly straight line, but I'm just going to give it a little bit of a curve. Makes it look more like it belongs to a living organism. Okay, I'm going to bend this as well, and I'll join, or rather, excuse me, I will move this point. I'm having trouble. I have to zoom in to do that. I'll move in. Select, I've got that. I'll just move in like this. Now I'll bend this, curve it a little bit. And then these parts where the line goes inside the head, I'll select those and delete them. And the reason I did that is so that I would not have a gap. I know that they would reach. That's why I started inside the head. There we go. Okay. I think I will go ahead and do the curved part on the top of the ear. So I'll need a line that goes like this, and then just I can push it out. There's another line. I can push it like that. Okay. All right. So now I've got that part of the head done. All right, now I'm going to work on the eyebrows, and the eyebrows are going to be a little different. I want to make them have a thickness to them, but not an even thickness. I want them to be thin and then thick and then thin again. And one of the things one of the problems with this particular approach is your lines are even width. There's no variation in them, which makes them, it can make them a little boring. So if you want a more interesting line, this is how you do it. I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to use the line tool and make a straight line about the length of the eyebrow, and then I'll bend it. But I'm not done. I'm going to get the line tool again, and this time I will connect from point to point. I'm going to go from here to there because I do want these connected, and then I want to bend this in a little bit and make that to where it's an arch. But you'll notice the inside is blank, so I want this to have a color. In fact, I want it to have the stroke color, so I can swap the stroke and the paint bucket colors with this little spot right there where it says swap colors. I want to click there, and that means that now the fill is that same blue. So I'll get the paint bucket and I will click inside there and it fills. Alright, now I've got these kind of blunt ends and I really want it sharper than that. Well, I have a stroke around here that I don't really need, so I'm going to double click on the stroke and delete it, and now I've got this nice eyebrow with very pointy ends to it. Okay, so that worked out pretty well. Now to get the other one, I can just select this and copy, Command C, paste, Command V, and let me move it over here. I want this one to be a little bit smaller, so I'll get the free transform tool, shrink it just a little bit. Now let me undo that. Let me hold down the Shift key. Okay, and then I might rotate it just a little so it's at a slightly different angle, and then I'll move it into place. Now if I wanted to animate these eyebrows in the movie, you know, if I wanted him when he's talking for his eyebrows to go up and down or change, I would turn these into symbols, but I'm not going to do that with the walk cycle. They're just going to be like this. So for that reason, they're not going to be symbols, so that's why I'm just leaving them like that. Okay. Alright, we're going to use this same method for the whiskers, and I basically am going to make one whisker, and I'm going to turn it into 6. So I've got a line there. Same process as with the eyebrow. Push that up, and I'm going to have to zoom in here. I'll get the paint bucket, click inside, I'll double click and delete the stroke, and there's my whisker. Okay, now I'm going to copy this, Command C, paste, Command V, so I've got another whisker. This one I'll rotate a little bit with the rotation tool, and if I want to change the point from which it rotates with the transform tool, I can press on this white dot, move it down to where I want it to rotate from, and now it will rotate from that point. There we go. And I might move it a little closer. And if I want to just make it a little different from the other, I might make it a little longer. Okay. And then I'll paste again, Command V, here's my third whisker. I'll rotate it even more. And maybe shrink it just so that it's a little different. Move it into place, and now I've got 3 whiskers that are kind of like what I want. Now these whiskers will animate. They are going to go up and down in opposition to the head, just like the top of the ear. So I am going to turn this into a symbol. So I'm going to select this, 1, 2, 3 of my whiskers. I'll do modify, convert to symbol. I'm going to call these back whiskers because they're on the back side of the face. I do want to move that rotation point, so I've got the free transform tool, and I move this dot to the point where I want them to rotate from, which is there. Okay, and I think I want to move them, I'll try to make them a little bit more like the drawing, and I'll move it into place, maybe rotate it a little more, and move it. Okay. And it doesn't match the drawing exactly, but that's fine. The style is fine. Now for the front whiskers, all I have to do is copy this and do a swap duplicate. Okay, because here this is called back whiskers. So remember the swap duplicate. In properties, I'll click on swap, and then here I'll click the duplicate button, and I'll call this top whiskers. Oop, well, okay, that's all right. I should have copied it and pasted it first, and I didn't. So this is called top. Let me undo that. Okay, there we go. Command C. Let me copy this. Command C, Command V, and now I've got my copy. Let me swap duplicate this so that I change this but not that. So swap duplicate, and I'll call this top. Oops, top whiskers. Okay. All right. Now I want this to be different, so I can go into edit mode, and notice I'm in scene 1. I'm inside of top whiskers. All these things are selected. I can go to let's see, modify, transform, flip horizontal. Okay, see the chain there. Modify, transform, flip horizontal. So they're flipped. So I have edited the top whiskers to go the other direction. So I'll go back out here to scene 1. I do need to move that rotation point now over to here. All right, and then I'll move this in place and I'll rotate it. And it looks like these start out further down, like so. And there we go. Okay, so he's got his whiskers. And the mouth will be the same way we did the eyebrow and the whisker. And that. Okay, I'll get the straight line again. Go from here to here. Bend that. Okay. Get the paint bucket. Click inside there. Oh, see, I double clicked and I got all of this stuff, and that I got too much, so I'm not going to double click. I'm going to single click and get that one segment, delete it, go to the other side, single click and get that segment, delete that. Now I've got my mouth. I can hide this. I like the way the mouth looks. Okay. All right, the nose, I'll just use the ellipse tool. Start with an ellipse. And then just kind of push it around until I like the shape of it. If you really want to see the drawing, you could do this with no fill and put the fill in after. I might do that. So delete the fill. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. And now I will fill this like that. I don't need the stroke around it, so I'll delete that. If I want the highlight, I'll get the ellipse tool, give myself a stroke of none, give myself a fill of white. This time I may go to object mode, just so that I can delete, so that I can alter the highlight without affecting the nose. Okay, and there I go. All right, when we come back, we will work with the eyeball and the torso.